Hi everybody, Susan Finch here, the founder of Binky Patrol, and I need to have a little heart-to-heart with some volunteers, many volunteers actually, especially those seeking community service. We make blankets for kids and teens so they know they matter, that we've taken the time to make these beautiful blankets, some sewn, quilted, crocheted, knitted, tied. And the tied ones are what we're talking about today. When you all like to make these community service projects with tied blankets, our area coordinators, those are our chapter leaders, have requested that I talk to you all because they are spending way too much time fixing sloppy binkies. Binkies that don't look so beautiful. Binkies they end up giving to animal shelters instead of kids. Please look on our website, binkypatrol.org, under patterns, and there's information there about how to make these fleece blankets so that they look lovely and they can tell that you put some heart into it. We'd love it to look like you put a ton of heart into it. So I'm going to give you some steps, and please tell your friends, please tell your schools, your teachers, your troops, whoever it is, the courts, I don't know. But you guys have got to help us out with this because we can no longer accept these blankets because they take too long to fix. Number one, all fleece has two ugly edges on the sides. They curl, they look terrible, they fray, they have writing, color swatches, and different things. They were printer's marks. That's called selvage. And even though you can't see writing on the one side and only on the right side or the left side, both sides need to be trimmed beyond that curl, beyond the little dots where it was poked and held on the machines that wound up the fabric. Please trim that first. That right there will set you up on the path to a beautiful blanket. Let's talk about that fringe. Most of you know that once you've cut the selvage off, you can fold it into fourths. So all the open ends are in one corner. All the edges are even because when you cut that fringe or cut the selvage off, you did it very neatly. So it's not all jagged and torn up and stuff. It's neat and tidy. Think about your kids. Would you want them to receive a tattered looking blanket right from the start with ugly fringe? Wouldn't you feel so much better? Oh, look at this beautiful thing. Not, oh, some kid must have made that, or maybe somebody that just didn't care or had horrible scissors. And I know this sounds picky, but our volunteers only have so many hours to help get these blankets ready because they're already putting labels on them to get them delivered for all of you doing community service. Cut out about the size of like 5 inches. 5 inches in from both corners. That is your guide for your fringe. All your fringe will go up to that line on both sides while they're open. So cut the corner out, set it aside. Some of you make them into blankets, which is super cute, or pillows or something. That's fine too, or toys. But now you cut your fringes about the size of your fingers. 1 finger for thin, 2 finger for a little bit thicker. And if you went a little bit deeper, that's fine, but just make it even all the way across the blanket. And cut your fringes straight up and down, not these angles. Please, while it's all folded in those fours, you can do it, and it saves you a lot of time too. Now, open it up. Number 3, tying the fringe. When you tie the fringe too tight, you make a round blanket. And our volunteers can stretch and pull and snap that fabric, trying to get it to lay flat so it doesn't look like this weird puffery circle. Please don't choke up all the way at the top of the fringe. Come down a little bit. You have some. So we use here at our chapter, we use the balloon method, like you would tie a balloon. We put it around. Let me pause this for a second. Just easier. I went inside and got a blanket just to show you the fringe. For those of you watching on video, see how it's not all the way up here? Don't slide it all the way there. Leave a little bit of space because that allows it to lay flat. See? And there are no ugly edges on this one. See? It's all been trimmed, so they're even. They're so beautiful. We have one chapter when they make them, They cut them all, and then they go and they trim all the fringe once more just to make sure they're all even. Oh my gosh, those look so beautiful. And I know it takes extra time, but it's for these kids and these teens. Aren't they worth it? And if they're not, don't help us. Go help an animal shelter, do something else, go do yard work. I don't care what it is. But if they don't matter enough to you, please don't help us. Help us if these kids matter. If you want them to know how important they are, that they're loved, that they're not invisible, put that extra time into this. I mean, we're just getting to the point we don't have the time to keep correcting binkies that have ugly fringe and that are round and have to be pulled and things. So please do that. So this one's, let me find a stretchy side so I can show you how we do fringe. Let's see, that one's stretchy. Let's see, there we go. Okay, we'll pretend this fringe hasn't been tied yet. This is how I do it. I go around 2 fingers and I come down like I would if I tied a balloon, and then I pull it, but not all the way up. I'm not sliding it all the way down here. I'm doing it right there. See? It's that easy. It goes fast too. You can just put it on your lap and do it. But give it some air. Give it some space. Give it some love. Help our chapters out, please. I know this is like, it's a PSA for our chapter leaders because they are writing to me regularly and are so frustrated because they said, we are spending hours. People turn in 100 blankets for community service for courts and things. And we have to give them to an animal shelter because we don't have the time to correct every one of them because they are so bad. Cut the selvage first, number 1. 2, cut when it's all still folded. Then fold it in fourths. Cut that corner out. That's your guide. Then cut your fringes while it's there. See, they're about that wide. You can see how wide? That's a good width. Some people go wider. I like that width. It's about the size of my first finger. It depends how big your fingers are, your middle finger. Cut them up to that guide that you cut from the corner. Next, tie your fringe, not too tight. Lay it out. Does it lay flat? Does it look lovely? Does your fringe need one more trim because you got a little sloppy on the edges when you're cutting your selvage? Better to cut your selvage twice and come in just a little bit more to tidy it up. Way easier to do it then than after you've already cut all your fringe. We appreciate how many people want to help us. We appreciate the sewn blankets, the quilts, the crocheted ones, the knit ones. They're so lovely. And the fleece ones really help us fill a gap and make it easy for anybody to volunteer. But we're asking you to up your game. Thanks for listening to this. I hope it didn't come off as, well, this was kind of a rant because I need to protect those chapter leaders. They volunteer so many hours every month, some of them 60, 70 hours a month for Binky Patrol because they love it so much, and these kids. So help them, help those kids. Thank you so much. Find out more on binkipatrol.org. Patterns are there too. Go under patterns. You'll see fleece. You'll see videos. You'll see how to and all sorts of tips. You'll see things about community service. And find Binky Patrol's podcast, All Volunteer, All Heart, on all your favorite podcast apps. Thanks so much.